Well, hello, hello, hello. Preston Strobel, Ranford, Timothy Jahan, Timothy Wrench. Yuri, hello, Andrew. Well, here's your pre-show party. I fell asleep, is what happened. Hello, Utah. Nice to see you. You don't have a wrench. How's that? Probably because you're not signed up as a subscriber to my channel. Utah. Sign up as a subscriber and you'll be able to keep the rents. Psst, hello. Psst, needs a wrench. Cute name. I like it. 3J. Flora Fauna Exotics. Nice. Ricky Credible from Iowa. Nina Jensen. Hello, Nina. NL Tennis. Tennis. Yasurazaki. Shadab Aquatic Life. Bunch of new people in. Hello, hello. Do you have any plans to ship your nutrient additive internationally? Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit. Um, what is going on here? I can't. That's odd. Canto and his moderator. Oh, I see. CHB. What I'm trying to do, CHB, is find people in various continents who want to be distributors, and they make 100%. I don't take a cut. So any distributor, I have one in Canada. I had one in EU. I think she'll be back. She got tied up for the summer. That was Laura. I think that one will. Did I clean the tank behind you? Boy, I sure did, didn't I? Yeah, it shows, doesn't it? I pulled all the plants out and I'm replanting it. I've got about half of the plants in that I want. I do have some bulbs in there. I put a half a dozen Madagascar lace bulbs. So I'm hoping they come up and will fill the center of the tank. Shadab Aquatic Life, live from India. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. McCrory, greetings all from New Zealand. That is moderator. Mondo, Mondo dos Pixies. Pixies. So, Well, I'm going to be giving out wrenches all night. Did you see that? Gary Stein. If I spend half my life asleep, will I live longer than Erie or miss more? You'll miss more. I don't know how long you'll live, but you'll definitely miss more. Ah, Andrew Fenna. Um, I had somebody today say from Great Britain say they wanted to be a distributor. We may get that set up. I do have someone in mind. So one of our staff people who I've not approached yet, who may be willing to do it. Ganto. Some of the YouTubers don't agree with what you're doing. Oh, there's nobody who doesn't agree. They all, those who don't agree, they turn to dust and blow away. Ah, okay. Toast Raptor, reading from Ireland. Concho Toast. Oh, glory. What do you got? 69 people in so far. Nebraska. Robert Scheisel. Scheisel, I guess. Rustin Strobel, what's the best life advice you have? Oh my word. The best life advice I have. Learn to love God. I think it's the best advice I can give anyone. That will put you at peace with the universe. Tony's Coffee House. Hello, hello. You don't want to ask me questions like that. Heidi ho, Erie. You bet. You bet, Preston. Icazadon from Brazil, Sao Paulo. Hello, Brazil. I think it's one of the places I'd really like to go. Oh, to do some serious collecting. What kind of plants are best for a 20? Any. If it's a brand new tank, stem plants are best because they don't require to near as much maturity to thrive. Thank you. That's a wonderful piece. That was made for me years and years ago. It was a shop warming gift when I opened my fish store. The wrenches are moderator wrenches. They everyone a moderator and turns everybody blue. It also makes you a member of the club. So I decided everybody could be a moderator. Is it safe to feed a molly every other day? Sure, yes, sir. Absolutely. Chan Sanaford, I missed what you said about cichlids and plants. Well, that could be. I'm not sure I've said a lot about cichlids and plants. I have cichlids. What is going on? I have cichlids right. Am I lying? What's going on? peculiar. My screen never came on. Look, a dragon. Thank you, sir, very much. Chance Hannaford? There we go. Yes, Chance Hannaford. Yeah, I am live. My screen wasn't. I don't know why. It's rather odd. Mr. Stringer, have you ever cared for a dwarf frog? Yeah, I've had a lot of them. I bred them actually on a farm. Can't say I bred them, the farmer bred them. That was interesting. He kept them in a bare tank, and periodically they would lay eggs, and he would hatch them out and feed them. What do you feed? Microworms, I think. And raise them up. That was pretty cool watching that. Dings, hello, hello. Greetings from New York. I received your supplement and some plants. You're very welcome. Joy Sun, yes. Do remember shipping to you. Speaking of which, shipment will go out Tuesday this week, the first shipment. So any orders that come in by Monday will be shipped on Tuesday for delivery on Thursday. This is the best way to get the freshest possible plants. There will only be 2 days in transit. BK's Aquatics, would a green terror and a bug parrot make good tank mates? Well, it's impossible to know. If they're both females, they certainly would. The blood parrot and the green terror can both be aggressive. I think I could never put just 2 cichlids in a tank. I would never do that. Unless it were a pair, and maybe that would be successful, and maybe it would not. If they're big ones, it may not. I would always have a group of cichlids, 3, 5, 7, on up. The problem with 3 is that 2 of them will gang up on the third one. So the smallest number of cichlids you should have is probably 5. And if they're fish that get a foot long, you need a big tank. I wouldn't do it in a 55. I would go for 100. So big fish really do require big tanks. Tam talks tanks. Do I have a list of my favorite plants? No. I have a list of plants I sell. I'll even give you the link here. Let me give you the link. Let me see if I can find the link. Here it is. Here is the link. You want to buy some plants? There's my link to buy some plants. Oh, I think I have lists. I'm not sure I do. I ought to check. I have Madagascar lace. I just got bulbs in. I've got them all planted, but I will sell them products. Let me see what's listed. Pomageton bulb, Christus banana. Yes, I do. I do. Zero and stop. Whoops. Need to fix that. I'm tracking quantity. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're good. Available. African cichlids don't touch any of the plants. They typically will not. Um, that's very good, Carrie. Glad you said that. African Malawi cichlids are typically not interested in plants, especially if you have things like swords. Um, they don't. There are very few plants in the lakes, the rift lakes. There is a lot of algae, and they are fond of eating algae. It's really a primary food. Excuse me. It's a primary food for them. Whoa. Karen Slater, blue-green algae or bacteria 1 inch down in the sand. No, it's not a problem. It's simply growing on the glass. It's not actually growing deep into the sand. It's just right on the surface, caused by light. So it's not an issue at all. How's the eating going? Well, pretty good, Erie. I stabilized for a couple of weeks at 2:30. I finally got under it this morning, just a pound. So I'm trying to be very serious. I sort of went off a little bit, started eating a few vegetables, went out a couple of times, and I had a birthday party and had to eat something. Oh, I was invited to dinner last Friday, and I ate some things I should not have. But I didn't gain anything. I didn't lose, but I didn't gain. So I kept the weight. I've kept the 20 pounds off that I experienced initially. I think most of that was water weight, but I'm back on it, trying to be back on it hard. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I'm on a carnivore diet to lose. I need to lose 50 pounds, and I've lost 20 in the first month, so I've got 30 more to go. I lost that 20 in the first 2 weeks, and the next 2 weeks I just stabilized, didn't lose anymore. Partly because I wasn't really being serious about the diet. I wasn't eating sugar or carbs much, very little, but I was eating some vegetables, and I even ate a tomato yesterday. Have I ever done a pearlweed carpet? No, Greg, that's interesting. I never have. Pearlweed. Ugh. Here's a good example. Let's see if I can. I'm on the road. I don't know if I can do this. Let's see if I can do it. There it is. I think there are some carpets showing. Yeah, here's one. Interesting. It's a stem plant, so you have to keep it trimmed. It would have to be continuously trimmed, or this will happen. Pretty plant though. Micro, microthymum, micranthemum, Lycranthamoides. Lycranthemum lycranthamoides. Interesting. I don't think I'm familiar with it. Does not look like, looks a little like baby tears. That's another one you could do the same thing with, I guess. 109. Ooh, Gonto. Terrible. Daniel Albu from Norway. Not going to get supplement. We're trying to get an EU distributor set up. We had one. She got tied up for this summer. I think she'll be back on track. I'm just waiting one more month, a couple of weeks, and we'll see if she gets back on track. Then we'll stick with the person we've got. Otherwise, I'll have to find someone else. From Orlando, and need plants. Do I ship? Yeah, I do. I just dropped the link. Let me drop it again. Go to this link and order. I'm happy to ship to you. That was Yasser Izaki. Can I put goldfish and zebra danios in the same tank? Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just I don't know, whatever you that. What do you feed them? What do you feed them? And you know what I need to do? I need to get uh, my foods listed. I finally got a big shipment in of a very special, high quality, 50% protein food from Japan that I use, and I've got enough to be able to sell it. I think I got about 10 pounds of it, so I can sell it in. In fact, I got little bags to sell it in, so I'll put that together and list it. I also have food for baby fish, some dry foods. So we'll get those things listed. That's a real high quality food. If you need something that's a manufactured food, that's one I can recommend. There are a few. There's another one from Israel I like real well. I think I'm out of it. I may try to get a bag of it shipped in. Um, it's called Prime, I think. Extremely high quality. It's used in the Israeli tropical fish farming industry. It's actually a food designed for the fish farmers in Israel. Ricky said he'll be ordering in September. Yeah, the heat can be disruptive. It really can. Well, Yuri said he's got a beautiful carpet of pearl. I guess I ought to try that. Does it require? I'm sure it requires constant um, trimming to keep it short. Otherwise, it's just going to fill the tank. It looks pretty though. I like it. Let's see. Best food for cichlids. G. If you want a natural food, um, worms and uh, chopped fish, not processed. If you buy, for example, a whole fish or fish tails or fish waste, whatever, and feed that the fish. The best food for fish, particularly large fish, is other fish. Goldfish are a popular food, but chopped fish, cut fish, is absolutely perfect for the same reason that meat is perfect for humans or for mammals, not all, but most. Cows don't eat meat. The pawed animals, as opposed to the hoofed animals. Coming on the Lake Pond water discussion currently. Lake Pond water discussion. I'm not following it. Using water from the Amazon River, most local ponds. Greg, I find that's really not true. I've taken water from every body of water I've been around that's been near me, wherever I've lived. So long as it has life in it, there may be effluents in it, but they're not killing the life in it. If the life is healthy and thriving, then that water is perfectly healthy. Don't get caught up in this notion that that we are poisoning the earth. Nothing could be further from the truth. We are not poisoning the earth. There are, to be sure, some places that are toxic. And that's because they have been deliberately made toxic by irresponsible people or by ants. Ants create toxicity. But those places are frankly few and far between. There are pollutants that get into rivers that sometimes kill large amounts of fish. The toxins are typically broken down in a matter of days, if not hours. Toxins, virtually all toxins, deteriorate. They break down. They don't remain toxic. The exceptions are copper, which doesn't break down, but copper is rarely, if ever, released into the bodies of water. Paint plants used to commonly release copper. The fines finally shut them down. I remember a paint plant here in Maryland that in the Baltimore harbor, the inner harbor, and they were releasing copper toxins and paying the fines because it was cheaper than building a new plant. They did go out of business. Yeah, Snake is saying his buckets are filled with rainwater. Mine are too. All of my vats outdoor. One of the reasons I need to move is my landlord is there are 5 families living on one well, and my landlord is very conscientious about water not being wasted. So when they saw my fish tanks, they wanted to be sure that I was not using an excess amount of water. So I'm not able to use well water to fill my outdoor vats. I have to depend on rainwater, to which I add soil and sand and some additives, some minerals to make it a bit harder. But you do what you got to do, I guess. Let's see. Salvador, can you help with blackworms? I have a group of 2 dwarf gouramis that eat small shrimp. Oh, you betcha. You betcha. Any fish will eat small shrimp. Guppies will eat small shrimp. Small shrimp is a natural food for any fish. Grown Monte Carlo in sand. There's got to be nutrients. So long as there are nutrients there. Any of the carpeting plants have very short roots, so they have to get their nutrients essentially from the surface. So if you have a tank that's established for 6 months or so, even a few months, there will be enough nutrient in the surface of that sand to be able to support carpet plants. It's hard to do it right away. Anders Keel LB3BJ. You are ranch. John Hunter, what's the best food for cichlids? Yeah, we were on that. That's interesting. Cutfish, worms, liver, like beef liver, chicken liver, any kind of liver. Liver has no fat. So there are no. One of the things that's interesting to understand about fish is that fish do not have a need for carbohydrates. They may eat some plant material, but by and large, they're doing it to get the protein out of it from the microscopic life that's living on it, rather than for the nutrient value of the plant. Fish are carnivores. All fish are carnivores. Interesting, isn't it? Can you keep, what was this, a rubber or something? It's easy to lose my way here. Let's see, I thought I turned on the timestamp. Toggle timestamps, there we go. Yeah, curved duck with caping scissors. Yeah, absolutely. Monte Carlo, same difference. All of them require trimming. Oh, Tam Talks Tanks. Do you ever plan to make a video of how you got started as Father Fish? Currently, a dream of mine to set up an ethical fish shop, but it's incredibly difficult to know where to begin. G. I'm sure I've told the story of you mean how I started the shop, the Father Fish store, or how the name Father Fish came about? There are kind of two questions come out of that. The name Father Fish was interesting. As many of you know, I'm a pastor, ordained Methodist minister. Was until I resigned some years ago over issues that are just now being adjudicated. But I've returned to Methodism through the diaspora, through some of the churches that are leaving United Methodism. Anyway, I had a picture of myself in my bedroom in full clerical garb, wearing a robe actually, and a collar. And one of my fish friends went in the house to go to the bathroom. My fish room was on the lanai, and he got nosy and looked around and saw my picture and came out and said, "Aha, Father Fish." And it stuck just like that. Before long, everybody was calling me Father Fish. So that was kind of cute and kind of neat. I liked it. As to how my shop started, it was rather odd, actually. There was a pet shop in town that had opened a series. They were in a strip mall that had uh, 14, 16-foot bays. And they rented a bay and opened it as for fish. They had other sections for dogs and birds. And they were doing all right with it, but they needed to stop. They didn't have the staff or the interest to be able to really develop it. At that time, I'd been selling fish online under Aquabid and was doing pretty well with it, but decided what I really wanted to do was copywriting. I've been a writer all my life and thought that would be really an excellent thing for me to do because it would give me the freedom to be able to live wherever I wanted to live. About the time I was gathering materials and getting ready to start that, I got a call from this local shop and said, "We want to sell our fish store. Are you interested?" Well, it came like a bolt of lightning out of the blue. My mother's sister, my aunt, who was by then deceased, had always said she envisioned me opening a pet shop, and I kind of always wanted to do that. And I thought, well, I could do this for a year. That would be fun, and get it out of my system, and then go after the copywriting business. Copywriting, by the way, is writing articles, letters, forms, and so forth for companies, doing the script, being a scribe, if you will, writing the materials that they need for whatever they need written materials for. So I made a deal, didn't cost me a penny. I think I wound up agreeing to pay them $1,000 or 1,500 or something, which is about what the value of the stuff that was in there was, which I paid off in a month or two. And then I kind of got into it more and more. And 1 year turned into two, turned into five, and then I had an opportunity to move to a much bigger place. And about that time, a funding agent came along, prepared to provide funding for me to make that kind of move on a buy-in basis. So I agreed to that. They would be a silent partner. I agreed to that, made the move, built the shop that those of you who've been on the channel for a while are familiar with, and wound up spending altogether nearly 20 years running a shop. And then I got into YouTube, and it's been 20, 25 years, and I never got back to that copywriting thing I was going to do. So anyway, that's that story. Andrew Kyle. Did I give you a wrench? I thought I did. I did. You just haven't got it yet. I'm going to set up a 10. Should I try shrimps? They're not hard to keep. Put hard water and then get Neocaridina. Don't get Caridina, get Neocaridina. They're much easier to keep. Maureen's Menagerie. How long time-wise and maybe lengthwise is a cichlid considered fry? Interesting. How long is a cichlid or a bumblebee or mangano, an expadatus, considered fry? Actually, they're considered fry until they fully develop into a fish. The fry typically are not a fish. They're a zygote. They're not a zygote. That's the wrong word. What's the word I want? They're they're not a fully developed fish. I'll put it that way. They're a fish that doesn't have. It may not have eyes yet. May not have certain organs, and they need to develop into that through the first usually 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes as long as a month, but it's typically just a few weeks. And then they become a little fish, a little baby fish. So I would say 2 weeks for most fish before they really are fish. The betta is a good example. They don't develop a labyrinth until they're about 2 to 3 weeks old. They have to breathe oxygen out of the water, but they develop that labyrinth and lung. It's kind of a lung. It's not really a lung, but it's able to absorb air directly, and at that point they're able to take air from the surface. But they don't have that right away, and that's true. I guess it's not true of live bearers. Live bearers are born fully developed, but egg layers are not. I'm trying to think of an egg layer that may be born fully developed. It would be a fish that doesn't hatch for a long time. No, even the killies are when they're born, they're not fully developed. So I would say as a rough number 2 weeks, which makes food for them absolutely critical. The other thing with baby fish is they have no fat, so they can't survive unless they eat. They have to eat continuously for the first couple of weeks to a month in order to build up any kind of fat reserve to be able to sustain themselves with no food. Tom from Oz. Hello, hello. It is morning in Western Australia. Huzzah. Anders. They can be delicate. I don't know what you're referring to. How long do you keep your lights on? It depends. For a new tank, I tend to leave the lights on 24/7 for at least a couple of weeks to give the plants a good start, because lighting is not nearly as strong as sunlight. But all of my tanks here now, I turn the lights off. I turn them on at about 7 in the morning and they go off about 10 at night. So 15 hours or so. Yeah, my lights are on all day. Aren't most ponds a sewage dump? Well, if by that you mean that they receive excess nutrients, many are, but a pond typically is able to overcome that by developing a larger biomass, a larger mass of fungus and bacteria and micro and macro fauna to be able to consume all of those nutrients. So that foul water, let me put it this way. Foul water is not a stable condition. Foul water is unstable. Water that is foul does not remain foul. Even if what has fouled it continues to be put into it, the water will eventually develop, or the body will eventually develop, and it usually takes little more than a week or so, develop enough biomass to be able to digest the nutrients that are coming into it. Now, that may result in substantial algae bloom, which could have a secondary effect of of blocking sunlight to the lower to the water, to the lower levels of plants, and thereby kill all those plants out. So it's not to say there aren't problems that can go along with that, but by and large, if a body of water is fouled by something, it will be clear and clean and pristine in a week, typically in 1 week. It is rare for anything to so befoul a body of water that it remains foul indefinitely. It would have to be pretty major and pretty persistent for that to be the case. And even then, nature would work to overcome it. Nutrients are, after all, nutrients. The function of a nutrient is to create a larger biomass to consume that nutrient. So, for example, the argument that carbon dioxide, CO2, is poisoning the planet is from a scientific standpoint and from the standpoint of what's happening on the earth, and it's a political conceit, is the nicest way I can put it. It's a political conceit aimed at controlling energy. The truth is that CO2 is a nutrient. And with the increase in CO2 from various emissions, there has been a consistent increase in plant life on the planet, so that the planet in the year 2000 had 25% more plant life on it than 100 years before. That's not insignificant. That happened because there was an increase in CO2. Any so-called pollutant, unless it is a heavy metal, a toxin that doesn't break down, like copper, or some other material that poisons living creatures, poisons plants and animals, not by smothering them in food, but by breaking down and destroying their ability to continue to live. There are places that are poisoned. Clearly there are. They're fortunately not common. And even there, as Chernobyl is demonstrating, nature seeks to overcome. It's a war with those toxins. Nature and the life force seek to overcome those toxins and thrive in spite of them, to assimilate them in some way, to hide them in some way, to in some way isolate them from being able to affect the environment. We live on an earth that exists by virtue of its ability to thrive in spite of threats to the existence of life on this earth. Life is stronger than its enemies, or it would not be here. Life is not delicate. An individual life, to be sure, is delicate. But life itself, the body of life, is not at all delicate. The only thing that would destroy life as we know it on this earth would be for the atmosphere to disappear. If the atmosphere disappeared and there was no longer oxygen or CO2 or carbon or no longer the available gases needed to be able to sustain it, then yeah, life would not be able to survive. Not life as we know it, but life existed before there was oxygen. There are bacteria that thrive at the bottom of the ocean where there is no oxygen. There are crabs and presumably some fishes, other invertebrates that exist with no oxygen. So even that is not requisite for life. Life seeks to overcome its enemies, the things that would hamper it. Life is stronger than non-life, that is to say. The life force uses that which is not alive to perpetuate itself. That which is not alive doesn't perpetuate itself. Not that we're aware of in any case. Let's see. If I have small ups and downs in your tank, don't shower for a day. Use the water to top it off. Yeah, right. I get that. I get that. Is the still water okay for topping up? Yeah, it is, but I wouldn't do it as a routine thing. Mainly because the minerals that are in the water are converted to living matter. They're stripped out of the water. So continuing to add them within reason provides the raw material for the living material, the biomass that's in the tank to be able to survive. Eventually, it survives pretty much on itself, on that food web, but there constantly needs to be an influx of new material, and the best way to achieve that is the minerals and water. We do it with food too. We're adding to all the time, and that increases the biomass. So it's never absolutely stable. In other words, the food chain is not an absolute. The food chain it's open-ended. It's open-ended, and it also can function if those open ends close up. It can reduce in its volume and proportions relative to the tank if new material is not continuously available. Otherwise, it continues to expand. The exceptions to this are, for example, the Dead Sea or the Great Salt Lake, which have a continued influx of mineralized water that cannot escape. And evaporation leaves the minerals, which causes eventually the water to become so salty that most forms of life can no longer exist. Algae continue to exist, and certain microfauna like brine shrimp, macrofauna, and microfauna as well continue to thrive. Bacteria continues to thrive, as do fungi. So there is life there. It's just not the same kind of life we have that we enjoy in our fish tanks. Kind of a long answer for that. Oh, Riddicky needs a wrench. Let's see. I wanted to get into something. Same water bowl, same freshwater bowl. Yeah, my cat used to drink out of the tanks all the time. Concerned about too much mineralization. it's a fair concern. Um, using Going to the opposite extreme, however, will create a lack of adequate mineralization. So you need to achieve some kind of balance, and just do it by some formula. And then if you see the general hardness going up, then to reduce or to increase the uh, non-mineralized water over mineralized water. So you can measure it, you can gauge it, get a GH meter. That works real well. I wanted to talk about the resurrection jar. We're going to be doing a video this week, clearing up a lot of misconceptions and providing a lot of help, I hope, for those struggling with the resurrection jar. It's interesting. Some people are wildly successful with it, and others can't make it happen. Curiously, I'm among the latter group. I have difficulty with resurrection jars. And I think the reason is I have a window that gets too much sun and the water gets too hot. And it took me a while to realize that, because I would see life in there when I put it there, and then a couple of days later, there's nothing moving. So I stuck my finger in it, and it's well over 100 degrees. So that's one thing that you need to watch for. You need, as my aunt who raised African violets was fond of saying, you need a western exposure, so that there's no direct sunlight coming in, which generally I think is pretty valid. Morning sun is better than afternoon sun. Afternoon sun will cook. Morning sun usually is shorter and less troublesome. Another issue is the whole, and more fundamentally, the whole issue of mud. When I first advanced this concept, I used the term mud. That was unfortunate, because while a lot of people collected mud, put it in their jars, and were successful, many more collected mud, put it in their jars, and it fouled. And that's because they used mud. Mud is not what I meant when I started this. What I meant, and I probably did not understand it well enough myself at the time, but what I was getting at was the leaf mulch, the rotting mulch, the rotting organic material that you find in bodies of water at the bend of creeks and so forth. That's the material that you want for the resurrection jar. It's full of life, full of microfauna, macrofauna, full of all kinds of snails and everything imaginable, worms and whatnot. That's what you want to start it with, not mud. The only use for mud is as a compost material in mixing the soil for the substrate. And if you're going to use that, the ratio is 2 parts sphagnum or peat moss or coir or some other humic material, 2 parts humic material, 1 part potting soil, garden soil, forest soil, any other kind of rich, earthy soil, and 1 part organic compost material. That can be the leaf culture. It can be mud from a body of water. It can be, I use black cow. It can be any kind of compost, any kind of organic material compost material is perfect. One part that, one part soil, and 2 parts humic material, organic humic material. That's the foundation for the soil. And then you mix that for size. You want to get 1 inch in the bottom of the tank. So whatever it takes to get 1 inch is the amount you use in that ratio of 2 to 1 to 1. And then the supplement is 1/4. So 2 to 1 to 1 to 1/4. So if you're talking cups, 2 cups of humic material like peat moss, 1 part potting soil, 1 part organic um, compost material or mud, and 1/4 cup of the supplement. 2, 1, 1, 1/4. So that can obviously multiply up in order to be able to do larger or smaller tanks. The cup portions of 2, 1, 1 work for a 10-gallon tank. 20 would be more. It's not quite double. It depends on whether it's a 20 long or a 20 tall. A 20 tall would be pretty close to a 10. Would be a little bit more, maybe 25% more. So you kind of have to fiddle with the measurements a bit. But the ratio remains absolutely constant. And the depth of the soil remains an absolute constant up to 55 gallons. Beyond that, it can increase. My recommendation is to increase by 1/2 inch up to 100 gallons, then to increase to 2 inches up to 200 gallons, and then to 3 inches. The sand cap needs to be double the depth of the soil. So if the soil is 1 inch, the sand cap is 2 inches. And the reason for this is that the soil works its way up into the sand. And if you only have 1 inch, it'll work its way all the way through it and enter the water column. So you need 2 inches to prevent that from happening. Anyway, back to the resurrection jar. So heat and mud are the 2 biggest problems I think people are having. I'll do a video on this. It'll be out this Friday. And we'll be able to show a number of successful and some not so successful resurrection jars or resurrection containers. The next step after that is to begin developing culture. And I fully intend to do that. If I can, I've got a lot of really good culture going in my vats. Trying to convert it to a jar so I can show it seems to be my problem. So I got another one here sitting by a fish tank. I'm hoping that'll work better. Anyway, that's all about that for now. Let's see. Yeah, you don't want to get over mineralized water, but without it. Well, here's the thing about this, Erie. Well, there certainly are people who are utter oafs, dorks, and just destructive louts. There are far more people who are conscientious and responsible. I really think it is the height of arrogance to paint the entire human species as loutish, brutish, and vile. To be sure, they are loutish, brutish, and vile people. There most certainly are. There are also saintly people, and there are many, many, many good people who make serious efforts to live in harmony here on this earth with nature. And I give you, farmers are the top of the cream of the crop. Farmers get a bad rap, and it's not deserved. Farmers have a better sense of the reality of the earth and what it takes for it to be rich, loamy, and healthy than do virtually anyone else. Those who know nothing about it, frankly, are those who scream about it the loudest. And they are the most ignorant oafs of all, because following their advice destroys everything. Don't pay attention to the screeching voices. Those are the sounds of Satan among us, not the whispering voice of God. How's that for an analogy? It is an analogy. Renegade, not true, renegade, not true at all. Our efforts to keep warm are preventing this earth from an ice age, and have been doing so now for well over 1,000 years. In the increase in carbon dioxide and in ambient heat is holding back an ice age. You don't want to know about an ice age. An ice age freezes and kills everything all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Everything dies. Everything. Nothing survives it. Is that really what you want? That's why I say the screechers are so fundamentally ignorant, because all they know to do is screech. They screech and howl with no information, no understanding, no ability to really discern the truth about anything. They're just manic. They're wild, they're crazy, they're manic, and we try to shut them up by appeasing them. And that's stupid. That's stupid. You don't appease madmen. You don't. You shut them up. You stop them. You don't give them the time of day. You don't give them any legitimacy at all, because they're not deserving of any legitimacy at all. Let's see. Oh, I'm missing a whole lot of really cool comments. Needless loss of biodiversity is sad. Over half of all fertile soil on Earth is used for farming. That's changing dramatically. There are very, very few farms that are doing monoculture. Virtually none here in the U.S., none in the EU. Those that exist as monoculture fail and then have to revert to a more balanced approach. So don't believe the hype. It's all lies. It's lies based on trying to convince you that we need to give power and authority to this this amorphous government structure that will allow them to control everything. That's all lies. That's all in the world it is. It's deceitful, it's fraudulent, it's lies, and it must be ignored. It is not true. We are not living on a dying earth. We are living on a thriving earth. Look around you. Do you see muck industries? Do you see things dying? Do you see vast swaths of land dying? I live in a relatively rural area. Let me assure you, it is thriving. Thriving. There's nothing dead or dying about it. It's rich, it's strong, it's vibrant, it's healthy. 99% of the land mass in this United States is thriving. Humans live on roughly 1% of it. We live on roughly 1% of the land in this country. We're not beginning to impact it, not beginning to. And much of what is going on is beneficial. Don't believe the lies. Don't believe the lies. Don't repeat the lies. Challenge the lies. Challenge what you hear. Study, learn, dig into it. Find out what the truth is for yourself. Don't believe me. Don't believe anybody. Work it through for yourself. Figure it out for yourself. It's not hard to do. It really isn't. Truth is the most obvious thing in the world. Look for it. Discern it. Figure it out. Then you'll know where to really stand. So for a 210-gallon tank, they best for 2 inches of dirt, 4 to 6 of sand. Yes, I would say so. I might even go for a 200-gallon tank. Yes, 4 to 6, probably 6. 4 to 6 certainly. For big fish that are going to dig, you want a little extra. The other thing you want to do for big fish that dig is realize why they're digging. They're digging to get down to bedrock so they can lay their eggs on something hard and solid. So if you will put flat rocks, you don't need a lot of them, just 2 or 3 flat rocks in that tank for them to clean off and lay their eggs on. They won't dig. They may make a shallow pit once the eggs have hatched to move their babies place to place, but they're not going to be digging the bedrock looking for a place to lay their eggs. Tom from Oz, you guys have been sold a bill of goods, and you need to wake up. You really do, because your homeland is being destroyed by the very people who claim to be saving it. Look around. Pay attention to what's going on. Learn the truth. Don't simply believe something because someone in authority says it's so. Think it through. Figure it out for yourself. Study. Learn. Become smarter than you are. That's really possible to do. You can do it by working at it. Use that muscle up there for something other than to grow hair. Wildfires are made a lot worse by smoke of the bear. Yeah, what they were made more. California is a perfect example. The wildfires raged because there was no attempt to clear underbrush or to do controlled burns. Florida does controlled burns continuously, so they don't have raging wildfires. And they would. It would happen without them. Yeah, Hawaii. Perfect example, isn't it? Perfect. Speaking of big fish that dig, Cam's Aquatics, I need to give you a wrench, Cam. Let me do that. Would it make sense to have a layer of gravel between the dirt and the sand? If they're going to move it, they're going to move the gravel too. I know people have tried doing things like putting screen in there or some kind of mesh. I haven't done that, although I think it probably would work pretty successfully. Larger gravel, maybe. I don't know. My hunch is that if they're going to dig, that's not going to stop them because they'll just go right through the gravel as well. Again, realize why big fish dig. Big fish dig to create nests. And what they're looking for is hardscape. They're looking for a rock to build something hard to build their nest on. Now, that's not the same with like bass or some of the fish that live here in North America in bodies of water that don't have rock nearly as close. They'll dig down. They'll make an actually pit and lay their eggs in the pit. The South Americans, by and large, are looking for hardscape. They're really not looking. They're not creating a pit. If you're going to spawn them, then you need to spawn them. You need to put them in a situation where they can spawn. One of the ways to break that up is to have more of them. A good example is the Tanganyika Malawi cichlids. They're inveterate diggers for the same reason. But if you have more of them, if you kind of load that tank up and have a lot of rock in there, there'll be very little digging going on. They won't have time for it. They'll be too busy competing with each other. So that becomes an alternative means. I had a 500-gallon tank with big cichlids in it and other large fish. And it was interesting. I put plants in it. I had swords and Sagittarius growing in it. And when I did that, the digging that had been going on up to that point stopped cold. Now I had 8 to 10 inches of sand. I never put dirt in it. When I broke it down, there was 2 inches of dirt in the bottom of it. The sediment, the waste had built into it to build a dirt foundation, a dirt layer. So that does happen. And I think in time, there's the fish adapt to that, and it becomes not a problem. There's another thing that happens with big fish, and that is that large fish like Oscars are probably the most popular, are kept in big empty tanks. They're kept in 4, 5, 6, whatever, in large tanks that have maybe an inch of gravel on the bottom, no hardscape, very few decorations, just wide open. They become insane. And after a period of time, anything that's put in there, they'll tear it up because they become insane. They no longer are able to function as a normal Oscar because they've been deprived of any kind of environment for such a long period of time that they've lost the ability to cope with it. They can no longer function in anything other than a bare, pristine environment. It's putting them in a prison. It's a prison, and those who are oh so sensitive and caring about these big fish, being able to keep them in a big, clean, healthy tank, are keeping them in a prison that is so bereft of any kind of enrichment that they become insane. The fish just lose any ability to function as a normal animal. You put another fish in there, they'll kill it. You put a plant in, they'll destroy it. Whatever you put in there gets destroyed. They become mad, insane, destructive, utterly violent. It's a terrible thing to do to a fish. A terrible thing. Make me cry. Well, yeah, Tom, you want to talk about corporations. I am with you there. A corporation is not a free enterprise industry. A corporation exists apart from the free enterprise system because it has found a way to overcome the restrictions of competition and create an environment all its own in which its authority and its power are what vests it in its ability to function. Spinster Sister, thank you so much for your $13 super chat. Thank you for being you and sharing your wisdom with us. Do appreciate you, Spinster Sister. You are a delight and a joy. And thank you so much for your donation. It will go, I assure you, to a worthy cause. We're putting a lot of money right now into a book we're trying to get together to publish that I think is going to be a breakthrough publication. We're very excited about it. Don't want to say a whole lot about it yet because we're looking to get the first phase of it out this fall. The petrochemical companies have had proof that fossil fuels are causing climate change since the 60s, and that disclose it because the only thing they worship is now you're talking about two different things here, Tom. Climate change is the whole notion, the concept of climate change is a fraud. The climate is always changing. It is never the same as what it was. It is in constant flux, constant motion, constant movement. Notice the term these days is climate change. It used to be over the earth is overheating. Fraudster that it was the earth is overcooling. It changes. It changes with the fraudster trying to make their case. But the case is very simple. We are increasing the heat content of the earth in order to prevent it from becoming a solid frozen mass. And if you think that's not true, you need to study history a little bit and learn about the tundra and learn about ice ages, because ice ages are real. And we are staving one off right now that is well overdue and would have reached us by now were we not increasing the volume of heat on this earth and staving off that frozen tundra. So you got to look at the big picture, not one thing alone. You have to look at everything. You have to understand the way nature works and what nature is, what the earth is, and how it works. The earth is not bothered by gasoline engines. It adapts, it adopts. It's perfectly, there is absolutely nowhere on this earth where gasoline engines have caused one iota of harm. Not one. And that's not to say there haven't been gas spills or oil spills that have caused devastation in a given local area, because that certainly has happened. What's interesting is to go back to those areas in a few years and see how quickly they have rebounded. Because the oil is, after all, a natural substance. It's not a toxin. It may overwhelm an environment for a period of time, but that environment will rebound. It will assimilate. It will take it in, just as it has always taken it in. What do you think oil is, after all? It's an organic material that's created by the earth. I just dropped my light, and I don't think I can fix it again. It's sort of there. That works. that it's blocking the microphone. Yeah, this is such a bother. I think that'll work, sort of. Ah. Ah. Counting on its wrath, pouring on to the out into them forever. There you go. There you go, Marines. I'm with you. BlackRock Vanguard, George Soros. Oh yeah, no question, Erie. Horrible bastards. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And if they had their way, which they are working hard to do, they will kill us all, or at least the great majority of us, and turn the rest of us into their slaves, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they're open and above board about it. My answer earlier on about the best advice for life is learn to love God. That's deadly serious. Because only by learning to love God can you love creation and oppose that which is against creation. There are plenty of things that are against creation. There is evil among us. There absolutely is. And sometimes it feels like it's in control. Like now. It feels like it's in control. But it's not really in control of me and what I'm doing in my life. So long as I can remain a free and independent person, functioning in ways that I choose to function, then it's not affecting me. Not directly. Indirectly, to be sure. But we're going to do something about that, too. Put a sprig of hornwort inside my jar. Yeah, I do that, too. I put a little plant material inside the jars. I think it's good. I think it helps. It certainly helps to balance it. Chris Packham has done a great documentary, Earth Over 4 Billion Years. Really good watch. I'll have to check that out. What's going in here says Craig. Hey, Craig. Welcome, welcome. Erie's 3 weeks in. All right. I'm 2 months in, and I'll tell you, it's the best thing I've done. The thing about eating meat is it's so easy to digest. It's not like breaking down fiber, or eating plastic or something, or having so much sugar in your body that your organs become poisoned, or so much carbohydrate that you just become bigger and bigger. Meat, animal products, dairy. I'm going to be cooking a lovely, well-fatted steak later on this evening when we get through all this in about half an hour or so. And I'm really looking forward to it. I found some at Costco that has tremendous fat striation through it. And I had one already, and it was amazing. It tastes so good. So I'm gonna cook that in my air fryer. It's very thick. It's like 2 inches thick. So it'll be about 10 minutes on the side, and I'll gauge it with my thermometer to make sure the inside is up to 130 or so. And then I'll put it in my frying pan and with butter, and I will ladle the butter onto it and crisp up the surface. Looking forward to it. I may even cook up some mushrooms and onions to go with it. I don't mind eating a little bit of that kind of veggie. That's okay. Mushrooms are good. Stan Pittman didn't like what he said. Neil Pinto, need to give you a wrench. And Neil is saying, if you have an established tank but it has gravel, easiest way to change over, put dirt and sand. Don't try to put dirt in it. I mean, it is possible to do it. What I would do first, however, is put 2 inches of sand on top of the gravel. That will lock it in. If it's a well-established tank, it already has a lot of organic material in there. If you cap it, that will allow it to begin to break down properly, to not be released into the water column. The problem with gravel is it's coarse, and water goes into it and through it and just washes out all the nutrients. So you get all the nutrients that are in the gravel in the water, and your water easily fouls. So by putting the sand on, you're allowing the water to become purer, and allowing all the organics to settle down into the substrate. What you can then do, some people are trying various things, like putting soil in a paper bag and freezing it and then slipping that under that kind of makes a mess, but I think it's probably possible to do it, and it's not unreasonable to do that. All in all, it's not necessary. If you will build a food web on top of the sand, that will add substantial nutrients to that substrate, and you'll find very quickly any plants you have in there will begin to really thrive. It'll provide food instantly for all of your small fish. It'll provide a nursery for fish to be able to spawn and babies to be able to thrive. It becomes a wonderful way to be able to maintain a well-established tank. And it does constantly add to the nutrients in the substrate. Monica, hello. Monica's a good friend from Chestertown, Maryland, which is a beautiful little village, little town on the eastern shore of Maryland, where she has a lovely house and a fish room. I've been in her fish room. I've helped her a little bit, trying to do some more to help her with it. She lives about an hour and a half away, so I can't get over to see her often, but a delightful person. Happy to see you, Monica. Aqua Designs. She does some really remarkable design work. We need to get you over to Discord so you can feature some of that, Monica, and maybe get a little business going for you as well. Nice to have you with us. Glad you're here. Let's see. Where are we? Is it okay to make the food web without the RJ? RJ. Resurrection jar. Yes, you certainly can. You can bypass the resurrection jar. But I do it all the time. But I have vats with a lot of mulchy material in them. And I did it today. I'll take hands full of it. And let me show you this. I can do this. I got to wreck everything here, but what the heck? What's life for? See if I can do this without tearing everything apart. All right. Oh, on your feet. Oh, okay. I've cleaned up a couple of tanks. Well, I just pulled the plug. Honest to God. Where the hell did it go? Oh God. Ugh. I swear. Uh, oh yeah. Uh, honestly. Oh, I can't get my camera back. I don't know. I guess you can hear me. Can you hear me? Am I still? Yeah, I just disconnected it. You can hear me. Good. Well, at least we got that. The camera doesn't want to come back on. I'm in settings. I'm checking the different cameras. I don't know what to do here. I guess what I need to do is go all the way out and come back in. Let me try that. We're still live. Leave site. Okay. Ah, let me try this again. I'm gonna I'm gonna hold the connection here so my feet don't tear it open. All right, here we go. So this I cleaned this tank. It doesn't have a whole lot in it right now. There is a pair of carensis in here that I think are nesting. I don't know where they are. They're not in the pot. They've been under the filter. Well, I don't know whether they're nesting under there or not. But this is all material I put in here today. And you can tell I don't have any plants in it yet. I got this one very sad Amazon sword who is going to go into rehab. So this will be planted out. Just did this today. So I drained it, refilled it, added new sand to the bottom. I had a loose sand I had put in much earlier, and it was constantly in the water. It was causing the water to become way too tannic. This these are some guys I just got. These are chocolate. I mean checkerboard cichlids. Just got these from, and I'm very excited about them. I haven't seen them in years. And this thing's coming along. I've got, again, I just put a couple of big hands full of mulch in here just today, just a few hours ago. So some swords in the corner. There will be a few more plants in here. I'm trying to do basically leaf plants, not stem plants, rooted plants. So here's the saltwater, which needs the glass cleaned. Well, they're all happy and buzzing around. I'm putting an order in for some live rock. from Tampa Bay. So I'm going to have some um, better material in here. I've got just a bunch of algae macros and stuff, so looking to get some of that. Here's the turtle tank, and they're swimming about. I had a big rock in the corner and took it out. It was a bit much, but they're doing well. I've got more plants in here, plus some moss, so things are actually looking pretty good in here. And the turtles, they're all hiding in the back right now. When I put food in, they come out. I don't see them. They're hiding. I had a couple of people tell me that they didn't like that I had so much structure in here. These guys seem to like it. They're tiny. The structure is solid and stable. It's not going to tip over and fall and crush them or trap them. I built it so that it won't do that. And they've been in here now for what, a week or so, and they're moving around, getting around fine. I saw them both earlier today. I check on them every day to make sure they're both alive and well and moving around. And so far, it's doing quite well. So, oh, and one more. May as well do them all while we're at it. This is oh. I'm forgetting the most important thing. Ta-da! Look at this. These are Steindecker discus. There are 4 of them in here. It's a 29. I haven't planted this yet. I need to get it planted. I've got some stuff coming in this week that I'm looking to put in here, but I've got a lot of mulch in here, a lot of food web material, and as you can see, there are other kinds of fish in here. These are blue line killies, a nice school of bluefin killies, And that, what that is? What is that? Cat food? No. Oh, it's a pistogram. No, it's a catfish. It is a catfish. We've got some lepistos in here as well, like that. And these gorgeous discus, and they're doing so well. They've been here now for a week, 8 days, and just doing really, really well. Eating like little pigs. So, one more. Dude, while we're doing this, we'll do it all. So I'm just beginning to get this back together. I pulled all the plants out and I replanted it because the stem plants were just turning it into a jungle. And Tisha inspired me to try to do something a little more attractive. So what I have in the middle are a half dozen Madagascar lace bulbs. So I'm hoping they're going to jump up and turn into something spectacular. So that's the game plan in any case. And there will be some more plants in here, but not a lot more because these should all pretty well take over. See the little goby down here? That guy was born in here. There are 3 of them. I keep looking for a 4th. I've yet to spot a 4th. But there, I see the 3 all the time moving around in here. I had their parents over a year ago and had no idea they were in here until they spotted them maybe 2 weeks ago. So there's all that. Oh, what do we got? About half an hour left. Let's see how we get this camera hooked back up. Maybe. Yes. Yeah, right. Where are we now? Were you able to see any of that? Thank you, Erie. Mu YC what? Well, see whatever that is. Sounds like a furry to me. Are you a furry? Mew, mew, mew. Let's see what. Windy Beck. Hello, Windy Beck. Ah, Mew is from Thailand. Well, hello. Mew Wasiwawat. Nice to have you with us. I would love Thailand. I have a number of friends from Thailand who came over during the Vietnam War and knew them back then. Some just very precious, precious people. Nice to have you with us. Yeah, the checkerboards are. Oh, I'm so excited about them. I have a couple of fish coming if the order goes through. I have some. My brain just went totally bonkers. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't remember what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking what I'm talking about. Post-mortal just came from your video telling people not to eat betta fish pellets and to feed them bloodworms. What my betta refuses to eat bloodworms. What I would do. Strange betta. Well, I tell you, this is important, and it's important to understand. Fish will not eat what they have never seen. They won't, because they don't know it's food. They don't know what it is. And so their first instinct is to ignore it. Now, if that's the only thing that's there, they will eventually try it. They're like a little kid. They'll, ew, I don't like that. And they've never tried it before in their life. But they know they don't like it. And they don't like it because they've never tried it. Because nothing they've never tried is any good. Right? Got that? We all understand that. So what you do is you don't give them a choice. They get what you want them to get, and that's what they get. And they will eventually get hungry enough to try it. And then they'll, ooh, that's my new favorite food. I love it. It's wonderful. It's like that. That's all it is. They're little kids. Little kids. Zedlith, ZD Leaf, whatever. Can't say it. Give you a wrench. Tanks are nice. I love the little checkerboards. Yes, indeed. They are such a nice fish. It's a South American cichlid that's very hard to come by. I don't know anyone who breeds them. That's the main reason I wanted to get them, because I want to try to breed them. Because they are it's a small cichlid, like the apistogrammas and the rams. They're a wonderful small cichlid, and there are not a lot of really nice small cichlids. So I feel like if we can get this one going, it's a really cute fish and one that can be popular in the hobby if we can get enough of them going on. Ugh. Oh dear. Not to eat betta fish pellets. Make us all buy a new car. No, go Gary. I need to get a new car. I'm not going to get a new car. How's your little prickly friend? Doing well, except they're not breeding. I have a male and a female, and I got them. They came out of an auction. And I think the female was put into the auction because she is past her prime. The male is young. He may be too young, but I don't know. I've had him for 3 or 4 months, maybe longer. And they should have come along by now, but so far nothing. So I'm just waiting and hoping, looking for another female. That's really what I need to do, is try to get another female. Would love to be able to get them. I don't know whether the males get showy during breeding. I'm sure they do to some extent. Whether they get additional colors or not, I don't know. How would you treat green fungus in a neocaridina shrimp? You mean the fungus is growing in the shrimp? What are we talking about here? If there is fungus growing on the shrimp, it's on the shell, and when the shrimp sheds, uh, the the uh, the green fungus will go. Green fungus? Green fungus. I was thinking algae when you said fungus. Green fungus. That doesn't sound good at all. That means there's something dead. Fungus doesn't grow on living tissue. It grows on dead tissue, typically killed by bacteria or injury or something. Typically bacteria. So if you've got fungus growing on your shrimp, first thing I would do is isolate it, and then try to treat it with a little bit of salt. That will sometimes kill the bacteria. Fungus is not the problem. The bacteria is the problem because that's what's killing the animal. The fungus is not killing the animal. The fungus is simply being an opportunistic feeder, feeding on what the bacteria has created. Bird says they're stunning. Chips are magic. Chips. I'll post a video later. Oh, Purge has breeding checkerboards that he used to. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, these are not quite big enough, although they're pretty close. Won't take long to get them up, I don't think. Probable cause clause YouTube. The invasive African jewelfish. Does it make an interesting aquarium fish? After all, it is a cichlid. It's a very pretty fish. It's very easy to spawn. It's pretty aggressive, though. It's hard to keep it with much of anything else that's its size or smaller. Bigger fish can manage it, but it's a real pugnacious animal. It's right up there with the what's the gourami? Boy, I think I need to eat something. Nothing's coming into my brain. Axolotl is what I was thinking earlier. I've ordered axolotls that are due in this week, and I don't have a place to put them. So I got to get that together. And I want to do it in a tray kind of format rather than a tank, because I also want to be able to put mud skippers in with it. So we'll see if that works. Do you have a guide on how to move a featherfish tank? I like, if it's not too big, drain the water all the way down, leave the plants in it. You can leave an inch of water and then pick it up, get two people to pick it up and carry it. It'll carry fine. Up to a 50-gallon, you can manage that way. Beyond that, they just get too heavy. But like a 10, a 20, a 29, a 40, with help, you can carry it with an inch or less. An inch or less of water in it. There, I think I've got it down. Hello, Biopsidae, says T. Tom. We shall do this. Green fungus. Let's see if I can get this. so we can look at it together. Okay, multi-nucleate parasite of aquatic crustaceans, excuse me, that possess a nutrient-absorbing root inside the host and reproductive structures so it's not actually a fungus. It is a parasite. Sounds pretty nasty. So yeah, first thing to do is isolate it because you don't want it breeding in there and attacking more of your shrimp. So just keep an eye on the others. If you see it, pull them out, isolate, isolate, isolate until it's no longer in there, and then start treating it. How to get rid of it? Here we go. Add 10 teaspoons of aquarium salt per liter of tank water. Oh, they're going to dip it for 10 seconds. So they're doing it as a dip. If you do less salt than that, about a tablespoon per 5 gallons, and then increase that, it'll have the same effect. But I don't like the dip because you're putting them in a toxic environment, which can kill the animal. But yeah, salt is the solution. Interesting. Never run into it before. I haven't seen it. Know what to do now, don't we, boys and girls? Excellent. Thank you for that. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Yeah, I got these from, heck, I can't remember. Whoa. Almost messed myself up here. Let's see. Dooby-doo. Oh, I got them from Dan's Fish. I think somebody gave me a heads up on them a week or so ago, and I checked them out and ordered them and got them in. I'm real excited about it. So yeah, Dan's Fish they came from. Prawn cocktail. Erie has a degree in prawn cocktail. Nice. The males, I do remember something about that. Yeah, the male checkerboard has a lyre tail, I think. I think that's right. Is that right? Erie, you say you read them? Would you do a saltwater resurrection jar in a hot minute? You betcha. Absolutely. In fact, that's a really good idea. I might just do that next time I get over to Acetate. Collect some mulm and get that going in a jar. I could probably, that's basically what I've got going in my salt tank, but I did make a deliberate effort to do it. But I will do that. Great idea. Make a video following the progress of the checkerboards. Absolutely, Zed. Happy to do that. Donna Darling, here he goes again. Getting carried away again, he is. See it coming. I'm going to have to get my big stick out again here. Yeah, their tanks are easy. They're not there. They will not crack. The bottom will not crack if you pick them up. What cracks them is torquing them, twisting them. That's what causes the crack. Let's see. Our Vietnam friend says Mew of the 60-gallon community tank, which set up almost 3 months ago. Gongwa would like to change my substrate to deep. Uh, well, at this point, 60-gallon, that's pretty big. I would simply add sand to it. And then if you want to try to freeze some soil and in a paper bag and slide it in there, get it down to the bottom and slide it in. It's a big enough tank you can probably get away with that. And then just cap over it with sand where you've gone in. That'll work. And it won't take long for that paper to deteriorate. It'll break down pretty quickly. Roxy, nice to have you with us. Bye for now. Let's see what else. Deep sand belt, almost a requirement for long tentacle anemones. Yeah, they like to dig. They do. Timothy, set up a deep substrate, transferred fish into it. Water got a little murky. They stirred up the substrate. Add more sand. You need to get enough sand in there that they're not going to get down to the dirt, and then just let it settle. If it gets stirred up, just let it settle. It will settle out. Put a sponge filter or two in there. That'll get the fine particulate matter out. Everything else will settle, and it'll settle pretty quickly. Good deal. You do not remove the old mulch. It will get consumed, and it'll get eaten up, and it'll precipitate into the sand. So you have to add more to keep the. It's like putting food in. Think of it as putting food in. That's what it is. Add to it every few weeks. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can add just leaves, just dry leaves. And once you get the culture going, just add dry leaves to it. Mountain red belly, nice. Yeah, I think Coral Stripes lady, I think you're the person that gave me the heads up on the checkerboards. I appreciate that. Native, I've got some natives. I have half a dozen natives actually. I've got some. These are a pretty fish. Let's see if we can show you. These are golden top minnow. Right there is one. That's a female thing. These are not. Those are pencil fish, apistos. They startle so easily. Get the camera close and they startle. They're in the back now. So I can get them to come. If I get close, they dart away. Very shy fish. The males are stunningly beautiful. They all are. The females get gold flecks, but the males get red. And they're starting to get red. I don't know if you can tell. They'll also get 3 to 4 inches. They get pretty good size. Look at the flecks of color in that. Isn't that gorgeous? Stunning. This tank's still a little bit cloudy from stirring it up. It's better than it was, but it's a little bit cloudy. 1, 2, 3. I've been checking. I've got 3 males and 1 female apisto in here. I need to do something about that. Need to get 2 of these males out. I thought I had 2 females, but I'm not sure I do. Anyway, a few guppies. These are Monica's guppies. Monica's still here, probably. Here are your guppies. That's a male. The female, Where's that male? I think it's a male. We've got one female somewhere. Don't know where. I want to get some more fish in here. And probably natives. I really like putting natives in. So I have Formosa in there as well. All right, we're about out of time here, boys and girls. Yes, they are pistos. And a few guppies. Slaughers. Hello, hello. Yeah, do get over to Discord. Any of you who have not done so yet, it is a banging place. Just doing really exciting. T-Town, what do you think of KG Tropical's Diana Wallstead bit? Putting sand in after plant seemed a strange concept. I'm not going to comment on it. I'm not going to watch it. I just don't want to get caught up in the stupidity that's going on. I'm too busy doing my own thing and doing it better than I ever have. So I don't need to get tangled up in that. If Dinah Wallstead wants to make peace with me, she knows where I am. And I'm very open to having a positive, healthy, wholesome conversation with her. I'm not open to being put down. So I'm just not going to tolerate it. I've never said anything bad about her and never would. And I don't appreciate being badmouthed by Bill Barr and the like. They're showing their lack of any kind of class. Savasar Tang, nice tank, Savasar Tang. Grows like a weed. Hard to trim. It's sort of like leaves or something. Funny stuff. Well, we're out of time, boys and girls. Love you all. Appreciate being here. Appreciate sharing with you. It's been a lot of fun. Had a good time. Got through some stuff. Did some stuff. Check out the video was posted today that I'm enormously excited about, in which I interviewed Mayur Dev. What's his last? Mayur Dev from India. So big fish tuber in India. I was doing a lot of really good things there. So we had about a 20-minute conversation, which I posted today. We'll do a few little shorts from it through the week. But looking to do more in India and more with the folks in India. Excited about that and excited about them. So bless you all. Love you all. Pray for wisdom. Pray for wisdom indeed. Amen to that. Bye for now.